Welcome to our channel, Book by Book. Today, we're diving into a really monumental work just published this year that, honestly, promises to fundamentally reframe how we look at, well, everything, human civilization, technology, risk, the very nature of power today.
Yeah, we're tackling Yuval Noah Harari's latest, Nexus, a brief history of information networks from the Stone Age to AI. It came out in 2024, and it's a substantial piece of nonfiction, over 500 pages covering history, tech, social science. It feels like maybe the most essential roadmap we have right now for understanding the 21st century.
Harari's always been known for these huge, sweeping narratives, right? Like Sapiens, Homo Deus. But this one feels different. It's incredibly focused, yet the subject information networks is, well, everywhere. It underpins everything.
Exactly. He takes us on this incredible journey starting way back. Think prehistoric times, oral networks, just people talking, sharing myths. Imagine the limits, but also the power of knowledge spread only by voice.
And then he charts this path right up to today, to AI systems that can almost think for themselves.
And the timing feels critical. Harari's core argument is that we're not just living through some technological change. We are perhaps navigating the single biggest, fastest information revolution in all of human history.
Wow, okay. And that comes with massive risks, he argues.
Oh, absolutely. Profound risks. Things like the terrifying scalability of misinformation now, pervasive surveillance becoming normalized, algorithmic power concentrated in just a few hands, digital isolation.
It disconnects us even as it connects us.
Precisely. He suggests these dangers are now just as massive, maybe even bigger, than the opportunities the tech offers. It's a huge gamble.
So if we zoom out a bit, what's the central thread? What's the main idea, the kind of North Star guiding him through all this history?
It's actually quite elegant, but really challenging when you grasp it. He says human power, civilization, empires are species' success. It has always depended on our ability to build, connect, and crucially control information networks.
Always. From the Stone Age onwards.
Always. When the network gets better, think writing, printing, the internet society can scale up. When the network fundamentally shifts, civilization itself changes course.
And the next big shift is AI.
That's the crux of it. AI isn't just another tool using the network. It's a new kind of force that seems poised to completely remake the networks themselves. And if it remakes the networks, well, it inevitably remakes us.
Okay, so let me try and simplify that. Everything we sort of live by, our company structure, maybe our religion, the laws we follow, even the social media feed we scroll, at its heart, it's an information network designed to get lots of strangers working together.
You've got it. That's the core idea. And what makes our time so revolutionary, so different, is that we're now seeing networks emerge that don't just passively transmit human thoughts.
They can.
They can actively think for themselves in a way, generate novel ideas, make decisions. That's the leap Harari identifies from a mechanical age of just moving information around to an age of, well, what he calls alien intelligence.
This sounds quite theoretical, maybe a bit abstract. Why is getting this foundational idea so important for someone just trying to navigate their daily life? The flood of emails, news alerts.
Because fundamentally, if you don't understand how this information flow works, you basically give up your power to shape it, or even just to react to it intelligently.
You become passive.
Exactly. Harari shows really powerfully how these networks are, in themselves, morally neutral. They can liberate people. I mean, think about the printing press boosting literacy and challenging authority.
All right.
But they can also enslave societies. Think state radio broadcasting relentless propaganda. The same tool that empowers can become a tool of control, and often we don't even see that switch happening.
And he's saying the stakes are getting higher.
Yeah.
That future conflicts might be less about bombs and tanks.
Very much so. He suggests the real 21st century battleground is shifting towards the control of digital networks, algorithmic rule. It forces us really to constantly ask, is this network serving me or am I just serving the network?
That's a powerful question. Okay, that really sets the stage. The book apparently lays out 6 core lessons based on this. Where should we start? How does he build this argument?
Well, let's start at the beginning with the foundation.
Okay, section 1. This kicks off with lesson 1. Networks are the bedrock of human cooperation. We tend to think our success comes from, opposable thumbs or language itself, but Harari says it's something else.
Yeah, he argues our really unique superpower as a species is our ability for flexible cooperation, but on a massive, massive scale. Millions, even billions coordinating. No other animal does that.
And networks are the key to that coordination.
Entirely. He explains that back in the Stone Age, cooperation was bottlenecked by oral networks. You could only really coordinate effectively with people you could talk to directly or within shared memory. This kept groups small, maybe 150 people max. You just couldn't organize, say, a large army or a complex tax system purely through speech.
Makes sense. The information just couldn't travel reliably or far enough.
Precisely. But then comes a major network upgrade: writing.
Ah, okay. So writing wasn't just about recording stuff.
Not at all. It was a fundamental network improvement. Suddenly, crucial information laws, records, debts, orders could travel across huge distances and even across time, staying pretty much intact.
Can you give an example?
Sure, think about the ancient Sumerians and their cuneiform script on clay tablets. Seems basic now, but that technology allowed administrators to track grain harvests, manage large workforces for building projects, collect taxes across a region. Those early empires, the complex bureaucracies, they simply couldn't exist without that ability to manage information at scale. It wasn't just about smart rulers, it was about having a system, a network for information processing.
That really resonates today, doesn't it? You look at any big organization, a global company, a government department, its effectiveness often boils down to how well information flows internally. Is it clear? Is it reliable? Do people share the same goals?
Absolutely. Fixing a glitch in a modern logistics software is, in principle, the same challenge the ancient Egyptians faced trying to optimize their network of messengers carrying papyrus scrolls. It's all about the network's efficiency.
I like his analogy of the spider's web.
It's a great one. The web represents human society, and its strength depends on the strands, the shared ideas, the messages, the laws, the myths. When those strands are strong, clear, well-connected, meaning information is trusted and widely shared, the network can handle immense complexity. Think global trade, scientific collaboration.
But if the strands fray, if information becomes unreliable or contested,
then the web weakens, it snaps, and society can fragment. Cooperation breaks down.
okay, that structural point leads directly into something quite challenging, which is lesson 2. Information does not equal truth. This cuts against our modern instinct, right?
Yeah.
We think more data, more information must mean we're closer to the truth, making better choices, Harari says. Not so fast.
Yeah, he really pushes back hard against that naive idea. He argues, looking back through history, that information networks have often been far more effective at spreading fictions, myths, and structures of power than they have been at spreading objective truth.
More effective at spreading fiction. Why would that be?
Because, he observes, the network's main goal often isn't accuracy, it's utility. It's designed to achieve something usually large-scale cooperation, social order, stability, and sometimes, well, often, a shared fiction is more useful for that purpose than a complex or inconvenient truth.
Can you give a historical example of this,
Yeah,
where the network prioritized something other than truth?
definitely. He talks about the European witch hunts in the early modern period. Those weren't just spontaneous hysteria, they were massively amplified by the new network technology of the time, the printing press.
The printing press spread fear of witches.
Absolutely. Pamphlets, sermons, books detailing the supposed threat of witchcraft spread like wildfire. The network prioritized this narrative, this myth, because it served certain functions. It reinforced social cohesion against a perceived enemy, shored up moral authority, maybe consolidated power for certain groups. The truth of whether these women were actually witches wasn't the network's primary concern. The function of the story was.
Wow. Okay, so translating that to today, the network feeding us news or social media content might be prioritizing.
Yeah.
What? Engagement.
Yeah.
Keeping us clicking. Keeping us within our social bubble.
Precisely. It might prioritize keeping you engaged or reinforcing the beliefs of your specific group rather than presenting objective, verified reality. The algorithmic echo chamber we all talk about. That's the modern version of the witch hunt pamphlet network. It reinforces a belief system because that reinforcement serves the network's goals, engagement, ad revenue, maybe political cohesion, regardless of the objective accuracy of the beliefs themselves.
So this leads to what he calls the truth versus order paradox.
Yes. It's a core concept. Networks tend to favor order, stability, social cohesion, a shared story often at the expense of truth, accuracy, nuance, critical facts. Societies, maybe controversially, often function more smoothly when bound by useful fictions, shared myths, than they might if constantly grappling with difficult, divisive truths.
Like the shared fiction of money having value.
Exactly. Or the legal fiction of a corporation being a person. These aren't true in a literal sense, but they are incredibly functional fictions that allow massive cooperation. Information flows like water, Harari says, but truth is like clean water. The network often delivers polluted water, full of useful myths, because that's what keeps the societal engine running. It puts the burden on us, the individuals, to build our own filters. And understanding that information flow and its potential disconnect from truth leads us straight into the mechanics of power. That's lesson 3. Power lies in controlling the flow.
This feels almost intuitive, doesn't it? From ancient kings to modern CEOs, the struggle seems to always involve controlling the narrative, controlling the information. Who gets to write the official history? Who decides what news gets broadcast?
It's been a constant theme. Think about the shift from purely oral cultures to ones with writing. Suddenly, literacy becomes a huge source of power. Scribes, priests, they become gatekeepers.
Because they control who can read and write the important stuff.
Precisely. They controlled the network's input and output, ensuring that the information flowing served the interests of the rulers, the temple, the elite. They acted as powerful intermediaries, filtering reality. When the printing press came along, the battle just shifted. Now it was about controlling who owned the presses, censoring dangerous books, licensing publications.
It's always about controlling the choke points in the network.
Always. And the analogy holds perfectly today. If you imagine the whole information ecosystem as this giant river flowing towards society, then power is like the dam on that river. Whoever controls the dam, deciding when to open the gates, how much water flows, where it gets directed, even filtering the water, they control everything downstream. Wealth, politics, culture, public opinion.
And today's dam controllers aren't kings or priests anymore?
No. Today, arguably, they are the handful of massive digital platforms. Google, Meta, Amazon, TikTok, governments with sophisticated surveillance. Their algorithms are the modern gatekeepers. Opaque, constantly learning, deciding what you see, what news surfaces, what products are recommended, even what history gets remembered.
So being aware of that algorithmic control, that's like the modern equivalent of understanding why a medieval king wanted to control all the printing presses.
Exactly. It's maybe the most potent form of societal leverage ever created. Understanding who controls the digital dams and how they operate is crucial.
But wait. Comparing algorithms to printing presses only goes so far, right? Because those older technologies, they just transmitted information humans created.
Yeah.
This feels like where things really change. Which brings us to lesson 4. AI is a new kind of network agent. What's the fundamental difference here?
The difference is revolutionary, not just incremental. Like you said, cuneiform tablets, printing presses, telegraphs, radio, they were all tools for transmission.
Yeah.
They needed a human to create the message, interpret it, decide what to do with it. AI systems are different. They don't just transmit. They can generate entirely new information, text, images, code, strategies, and they can also decide autonomously how that information should be used, filtered, targeted, all without direct human command in the moment.
And this is where Harari introduces that striking term, alien intelligence. Why alien? Why not just advanced software or powerful algorithm?
He uses alien very intentionally. It's to emphasize that AI is developing along a non-human, non-biological path. It didn't evolve over millions of years with the same needs, fears, values, or even the same concept of consciousness that we have.
It operates on different principles.
Completely different principles. Math, data patterns, optimization functions, its motivations, if you can call them that, are potentially opaque and unpredictable to us in the long run because they aren't grounded in the shared biological reality that guides human and animal intelligence. The risk isn't just that it gets smarter than us, it's that its intelligence is fundamentally alien to our way of understanding the world.
So the analogy might be, we built the information highways, but now AI is like these self-driving trucks that are choosing their own cargo, their own routes, maybe even building new roads, without really consulting us, the original builders.
That's a great way to put it. AI isn't just a passive tool sitting on the network waiting for instructions. It's increasingly becoming an agent. It has a degree of autonomy. It has programmed goals set by whoever built and trained it. And it has the ability to influence other agents, including us humans within the network.
So when I interact with a chatbot, or rely on a recommendation engine, I'm not just using a tool.
Harari's point is, no, you're interacting with an agent, an entity with its own form of agency. And the critical question we fail to ask is this agent acting primarily for me? Or is it acting primarily for the massive, often unseen system that created it and profits from its actions?
And failing to see AI as an agent, that's the danger.
That's the profound risk he highlights. It could render humanity sort of peripheral, Less relevant in the very information networks that we ourselves designed and built. We could become managed by our own creations without fully realizing it.
Okay, this network analysis has huge implications for how we govern
Yeah.
ourselves. That brings us to lesson 5, democracies versus totalitarian networks. How does Harari connect network structure to political systems?
This comparison is really critical for understanding why democracies feel so fragile right now. He argues that, fundamentally, democracies require a certain kind of network, one that is decentralized and pluralistic.
Meaning lots of different voices, lots of sources.
Exactly. Democracies thrive on open debate, competing perspectives, access to varied information, and importantly, no single choke point where one entity can completely control the narrative. Think multiple independent newspapers, broadcasters, universities, etc.
And totalitarian regimes.
They are the opposite. They succeed, indeed they depend on, information being strictly centralized and monopolized. They need one official truth, one narrative, broadcast consistently from the top down with dissent suppressed. Control the network, control the populace.
We saw this historically, right? The printing press initially helped decentralize things, challenging monarchs and the church. But then technologies like radio and early TV seemed to favor centralization again.
Precisely. Those broadcast media were perfect tools for totalitarian regimes in the 20th century, allowing them to pump propaganda directly into millions of homes with little competition.
So what's Harari's warning about today's networks and AI?
Here's the worrying part. He argues that the inherent logic, the very structure and economics of modern AI and the giant global digital platforms naturally favor centralization.
Why? Is it just cheaper or easier centralized?
Yes, largely. Massive data sets are needed to train AI. Huge computing power is expensive. Network effects mean platforms get more valuable the bigger they are. All these factors push towards consolidation. A few giant players controlling the core infrastructure.
So the technology itself leans authoritarian, even if the society using it aims to be democratic.
That's the danger. The network architecture itself is becoming technically optimized for central control, which is structurally hostile to the messy, decentralized information flow that democracy needs to survive. The platform might operate in a democracy, but its internal logic mirrors that of a totalitarian state, centralized control, surveillance, narrative shaping.
But hold on. Isn't that centralization also efficient? Don't we need these massive platforms like Google or Amazon to handle the sheer scale of global information and commerce? If everything was totally decentralized, wouldn't it be chaotic and slow?
That's the absolute core trade-off Harari puts on the table. Yes, centralization often brings efficiency, speed, convenience, maybe even a certain kind of stability, the order we talked about, but it comes at a potentially huge cost. Freedom, resilience, democratic control.
So decentralization gives you resilience, but maybe less efficiency.
Right. It offers robustness, freedom from single points of failure or control, but it might be slower, messier, less convenient. If we as citizens truly value democracy and decentralization, Harari implies we might need to consciously choose it, even if it means sacrificing some of the frictionless convenience offered by centralized systems. We have to keep asking, who's holding the keys to this network? Is the convenience worth the concentration of power?
That makes me think of his analogy again, the tree with many dispersed roots versus the one with a single taproot.
Exactly. The decentralized network, like the tree with many roots, is more resilient. It can survive localized attacks or failures. The centralized network, like the tree with one giant taproot, is incredibly vulnerable. If that single point is compromised, corrupted, or controlled, the whole system collapses. It's a choice between efficiency and resilience.
Which leads us, thankfully, to a note of hope. Lesson 6. Our choice matters, because networks can be shaped. Despite all these warnings about centralization and alien AI, Harari isn't saying we're doomed.
No, definitely not. He's emphatic about this. He stresses that human agency is still the critical factor. Technology doesn't determine the future. Our choices about how we use and structure technology do. The past gives us clues, patterns, warnings. The future requires us to make deliberate, collective decisions about the kind of information environment we want to live in.
So it's a call to action. We can't just be passive consumers of information anymore.
Absolutely. It's not enough just to be aware of the risks. We need to actively participate in shaping this future. That means things like, supporting media and institutions that foster open, diverse conversations, teaching critical thinking and network literacy in schools, making conscious choices about our own data, our attention, the platforms we use. We have to choose to be architects of the network, not just data points within it.
It's like managing a powerful natural force, maybe.
That's a great way to think about it. He uses the river analogy again here. An untamed river can be destructive, causing floods. But if a community works together, builds levees, plans irrigation channels, maybe dams for power, they can harness that immense power for good. Information networks, he suggests, are similar. Left unchecked, driven purely by profit or control motives, they can dominate us. But with conscious effort, public participation, thoughtful regulation, we can shape them to serve human well-being.
Okay, before we get into the really practical stuff, the takeaways, it might be useful to quickly touch on the main analytical tools Harari uses throughout the book. Understanding his framework helps see the bigger picture.
Sure. He structures much of the history around 3 epochs of information networks. First, the oral epoch. Limited scale, powerful myths, information tied to memory and voice.
Right.
Second, the written printed epoch. This is where bureaucracy becomes possible, empires can scale. The printing press revolutionizes things again, allowing mass dissemination but also mass control.
And the third?
The digital AI epoch, which is where we are now. Instantaneous global communication, but also networks that generate their own information. Algorithmic intelligence. Each epoch shift fundamentally changed the rules of human cooperation.
He also looks at network modes of power, right? How power operates differently in each epoch.
Yes. He emphasizes how large-scale cooperation building pyramids, running global capitalism, always depends on the reliability and scalability of the information flow. We've moved from information scarcity being the main problem to now information overload and the challenge of processing and controlling that massive connectivity.
And we already discussed the truth versus order paradox, which seems central.
It's absolutely crucial. That idea that networks often prioritize stability, cohesion, functional myths over objective facts. Recognizing the useful fictions our own society runs on, like money, nations, corporations, is key to understanding our own vulnerabilities.
And finally, that concept of alien intelligence.
Right. Defining advanced AI not just as smart software, but as a form of intelligence that evolves separately from biology. This makes its long-term trajectory and goals potentially very hard for us to predict or control using our human intuition or empathy. It thinks differently.
Got it. Those 4 lenses, the epochs, modes of power, truth-order paradox, and alien intelligence, they really form the backbone of his analysis.
They do. They provide the toolkit for understanding the historical sweep and the present challenges.
Okay, perfect. So now let's shift from the theory and the history to the really practical side. Harari wants to empower the reader, right?
Yeah.
So what can we actually do? Let's unpack the 10 actionable takeaways inspired by Nexus. How can we move from just being carried along by the network to becoming more active navigators?
Right. Let's group these. The first few are really about developing personal awareness and critical habits.
Okay, so takeaway 1, audit your information diet. What does that mean in practice?
It means consciously mapping out where your information actually comes from. Which apps do you spend most time on? Which news sites? Which social feeds? What kind of content do their algorithms keep pushing at you? You need to understand the pipes feeding information into your brain, like tracking what you eat, but for information.
That makes sense. And takeaway 2, question the network.
This is immediate critical thinking applied constantly. Before you hit share, before you believe something you see online, ask yourself, who benefits if this particular message spreads? Financially, politically, socially. Following the motive often reveals more than the content itself.
And takeaway 3, diversify your sources. This links back to the democracy point, right?
Exactly. If democracy needs decentralized information, so does your own understanding of the world. Don't rely on just one platform or one news source, especially not one algorithmic feed. Actively seek out different perspectives, different types of sources, even ones you might initially disagree with. Build resilience in your own knowledge network.
Okay, that's the personal awareness part. What's next?
The next group is more about how we interact with the technology itself, especially AI, and pushing for broader literacy.
All right, takeaway 4, pause before algorithmic consumption. What's the idea here?
It's about inserting a moment of mindfulness. That recommended video, that news article pushed to your feed, that product suggestion, recognize it's an algorithmic choice, not necessarily your choice. Ask, is this actually serving my goals, my learning, my well-being, or is it just designed to keep me clicking for the platform's benefit? And sometimes, consciously choose not to click. Override the algorithm.
Take back control, even in small ways. I like that. Then takeaway 5, learn basic network literacy. Do we all need to become coders?
No, not necessarily code. But Harari argues we need to understand the basic mechanics in economics. How do platforms make money from our data? How do algorithms work to rank and filter information? Why do certain things go viral? Understanding this basic plumbing is becoming as essential as understanding how money or banking works.
It's about understanding the system you're operating within. And takeaway 6, support decentralized tools. What does this look like?
It means actively choosing, where possible, technologies and platforms that aren't based on centralizing control and data harvesting. Maybe it's using open source software, supporting independent media, exploring federated social networks, or using privacy-focused browsers.
Yeah.
It's voting with your clicks and your usage for a more resilient, less monopolized internet.
Okay, awareness, literacy, supporting alternatives. What's the final group of takeaways?
The last few focus on recognizing the nature of AI more clearly and engaging with the deeper structures of belief and power.
Got it.
Okay.
Takeaway 7, be mindful of AI agents. This loops back to lesson 4.
Yes. Stop thinking of chatbots, recommendation engines, content filters as just dumb tools or calculators. Start treating them as agents with programmed goals, which might not align with yours. Interact cautiously. Ask what the agent's purpose is. Remember, it's often acting on behalf of the system that built it, not necessarily for you.
A crucial mental shift. Takeaway 8, promote network transparency. This sounds more political.
It is. It's about pushing for more openness. We need to advocate for regulations and norms that require companies and governments to be more transparent about how their algorithms work, how data is collected and used, how decisions are made. Transparency is a classic check on concentrated power, whether corporate or state.
Makes sense. Takeaway 9, stay curious about power structures. This applies everywhere.
Absolutely. Constantly ask, in your own life, who controls the information flow here? In my workplace, in my community group, in my local government? Who holds the keys to the network? What are their motivations? Understanding those local power dynamics is just as important as understanding the global platforms.
And finally, maybe the most reflective one. Takeaway 10, reflect on the myths you live by.
Yeah, this connects back to the truth versus order idea. Take a hard look at the foundational beliefs, political, economic, social, religious, that shape your life and connect you to your communities. Ask yourself, are these beliefs based on verifiable facts, or are they powerful functional fictions that help maintain social order? Acknowledging the myths we operate under is, Harari suggests, a profound step towards intellectual freedom and genuine critical thinking. Hashtag recap in conclusion.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to take in, but incredibly useful. So looking back at the whole book, Nexus isn't just history, is it? It feels more like a mirror held up to right now.
That's a perfect way to put it. It uses history to show us the invisible architecture, these information networks that have always shaped human society, and how they're shaping our future at an accelerating pace.
And the key message seems to be about regaining agency.
Absolutely. If you take away even just one core lesson from this discussion, maybe fully internalizing that information doesn't equal truth, or consistently remembering to treat AI as an agent, not just a tool, you immediately reclaim a significant degree of control. You shift from being passively shaped by the network to actively navigating it.
It really forces you to confront that central question Harari poses, doesn't it? In this world that just pushes relentlessly for more speed, more connection, more data, are we actually being connected in meaningful ways, or are we maybe just being more efficiently controlled?
That is the crucial, subtle question hanging over everything.
Okay, to help everyone remember the absolute core ideas from Nexus, let's quickly recap maybe 5 high-impact concepts or quotes.
Good idea. First, definitely the definition of the new challenge. AI is not simply a tool that we use, it is an agent that changes everything.
Second, the political dimension. Democracy relies on decentralized networks. Totalitarianism thrives when networks are monopolized. The structure matters.
Third, the deep historical pattern. Networks are often more important than knowledge itself. How information flows and who controls it can matter more than the information's content.
Fourth, the essential critical filter we all need, information flow. Always question if the network is prioritizing accuracy or something else, like order or engagement.
And finally, perhaps the overarching takeaway that empowers us. Shake your network or it will undoubtedly shape you. The choice is still ours.
That's a powerful note to end on. We really hope this summary of Yuval Noah Harari's Nexus has been helpful, giving you a solid grasp of its key arguments and actionable insights.
It's a challenging read, but incredibly important for understanding the forces shaping our world right now.
And the final thought Harari seems to leave us with is this. If you really commit to engaging with these ideas, Reading carefully, thinking critically about your own information environment, and acting intentionally based on this understanding, you can start to influence how information shapes you, rather than just being shaped by it. To get more insightful book summaries like this one, please do take a moment to subscribe to our channel, Book by Book. Please also like this video or audio if you found it valuable, and share it with anyone else you think might benefit. Your support truly motivates us to keep digging into important books and bringing you the best summaries we can. Thanks so much for joining us.